Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel. It is I, the weirdo of all weirdos. Well, I can't really take that claim, but I am a very weird person, I can tell you that. Welcome back, y'all. I'm Yosafire, and this is gonna be a different video. I've been kind of having a problem with being lazy. So it's all on me. However, I'm going to do my best to pull this off. I was watching one of the channels called Liberty Hound, and he talks about a difficulty he's having when it comes to being demonetized. Now, he's not the only YouTuber to be demonetized, especially seeing that that channel also is a conservative channel. Plus, Louder with Crowder been getting demonetized left and right at times. And it's been frustrating because, especially for a YouTuber, that's how you make your money. Now, some YouTubers have to go through group funding, which is Patreon and other sites, and others, like Louder with Crowder, go through the memberships because they are a little bit different. They have daily shows and stuff, which I recommend both channels because they're really awesome. I love how they see things, very much align with them. So I really do recommend them. So basically, Liberty Hound has gone into what's called a second investigation or something like that. They can explain it a little bit better than I can, so I'm just gonna let them do it.
Alright guys, as you can tell from the title, this is not going to be a very positive video. I'm actually quite frustrated with YouTube right now because we were informed yesterday that our channel will remain demonetized as they conduct additional secondary review. So on the one hand, it's nice that we didn't get outright rejected, but my issue is that they gave us no timetable for this extended review, and more importantly, they provided no information about what specifically is problematic about our content. You know, if they would just tell us what their concerns are, then we could maybe fix it before they make a decision, but they absolutely refuse to do that.
Okay, so the first question was asked and we got an answer. Now, at the second question that was asked, the reply was very much the same as the first question with some additional information he gives.
Asked for a secondary review. Talk to me about that.
That's right. We know there are a lot of questions about that. For certain channels, we want to be really careful that we're not making an incorrect decision. So for certain kinds of content that might be kind of on the borderline, we're putting extra resources into reviewing that multiple times. So we have told some creators that it's going to take a little bit longer for us to do a second review.
What types of things could get your channel held for a secondary review?
We're being really careful about this process. And again, the point is really just to make sure that all the content in the program is really adding value and that creators who are putting a lot of work in to do really creative, interesting stuff are getting rewarded. But in going through this process, we come across stuff we didn't necessarily anticipate or know about in advance. And so we really are careful about trying to figure out whether these new things really meet the mission of the program that I was just talking about. So, again, we're really careful about it. We don't want to say no to stuff that actually does have a genuine creator behind it. We just go through a lot of analysis to try to figure out what's going on and make a call.
Okay, so we're going through with a fine-grained, fine-tooth comb, whatever, to really make sure that we're letting the right things in.
That's right.
I'm sorry, but what does it mean by adding value? Adding value in what way? Adding value in a way where you guys are a platform and you trying to promote positive stuff. My second thing is just basically when someone mentions about adding value, to me, that sounds like more of you're talking about possibly being a publisher, not a platform. Now, those that don't know, a publisher is those that control the content that is on their site, i.e., like magazines, that where they have full control over what content can be shown. A platform is where it's unrestricted. I mean, obviously, sorry guys for adjusting more. Obviously, there's going to be um, some kind of restriction when it comes to appropriateness, like if there's any type of nudity or other sexual garbage in it, or like language of the yin yang or something. It's just something that requires a restrictive law. I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me. Let me. This will take a moment. I'm not gonna touch it anymore. No, I'm not. I am so not gonna touch that anymore. You can't even pay me to touch it anymore. Okay. Besides me being my old weirdo self. So going back to the value, what do they see as value? I mean, value is sometimes relative depending on the person. Something very positive or something, I mean, a lot of times we think of value, we think of positivity. We think it's a positive thing. However, the thing is boils down to is basically, how do you see value? Do you see, like, what are your standards when you think of values? When you think of what adds value, what do you see? Also the second, then that leads to, are you still a platform or are you a publisher? You gotta, that's a big, huge question.
Now that we've talked about all of the reasons why we might require secondary review, could you cover why we might say no?
Sure. Yeah. So there are two primary kind of areas that the team is coming across. One is maybe a little more intuitive. It's just looking at whether the content on the channel is appropriate for ads. You know, so obviously advertisers have a lot of concerns about what their brand shows up next to, and if the majority of a channel, you know, contains content that isn't brand safe in that way, likely we won't accept it. So that's the first one.
Okay, yep.
The second major area that people might know less about, so it's important we talk about it, is where you get a response that refers to duplication. And you know, what's going on there is you want to make sure that creators can get rewarded where they're really putting their creative energy into their content, and that there's really quality stuff for the audience. So this other category, if you hear about duplication, a lot of time that refers to content that's coming from other sources where the creator really isn't adding much to it. So that could be videos from other platforms, or it could be TV content, it could be other stuff like that, or even, you know, we talked a little before about, you know, auto-generated stuff. We see some of that in this category too.
Now, what about reactions or offering commentary? Because that's something that at least I personally have seen all over YouTube. How does that fit in with what you're saying here about duplication?
Absolutely, and that stuff is super important to YouTube and really great for the audience. So if creators really are, you know, adding that value, they're adding a narrative, there's commentary there, there's discussion around it, that's coming from them, then that's okay.
Okay, good.
The gentleman mentioned about ad safety or ad concerns. And my question is, what the flying crud are you even talking about? I mean, okay, so you make money off of ads. Who doesn't? Question is, what the crud do you mean by them having concerns? I mean, this plays back to the second question where it's like, could you be more specific when it comes to adding values? And then you're like bringing up about how, okay, I understand about if maybe you're like an abortion clinic, for lack of, for one way to bring up the, and you don't want, like, say, your ads to come out on, who knows, on a conservative right-wing platform, right-wing channel. Okay, understandable. However, that should fall onto you guys as a company to be able to figure out the algorithm. I mean, I'm sorry, he continues on, and I don't get it. I mean, to me, this all sounds very suspicious and sounds very familiar. I don't know if any of you have checked, but have any of you have watched any of the hearing with Mark Zuckerberg in front of I believe they were senators or something, where they talked to him about the security breach. Now, the YouTube is basically admitting the fact that they are more conscious. They want to be more conscious about the content. The problem is that how do I say it? You guys just admitted to be a publisher, man. Like, I don't know how else to really put it. I'm trying to be a nice guy about it, but it's like, no, you know what? You guys are basically illustrating yourselves as a publisher. Hands down, no doubt in my mind. Like I said, this reminds me so much of the Mark Zuckerberg hearing, where he described how he and the company feels responsible for the content. So basically, you, without specifically saying you are no longer a platform, that you are now taking roles as a publisher. Like I said, a publisher controls the content where the platform doesn't, or doesn't do as much unless the law says otherwise. And for the most part, like a lot of right-wing people, or even just people with conservative views in general, what I like to call common sense values about it, how they're demonized and how they are being attacked by whoever they're doing videos of, saying like about how they're spreading hate speech. And the thing is, it's ultimately anybody can say what they want. That's logic. That's logos. This argument, the logic of it is you can say whatever you want. Next comes the ethical part. Should you say something? Should you say something that could be inappropriate? Like calling African Americans the N-word. Yeah, no. In your lifetime would I do that. However, we have people on CNN, or at least one person on CNN, that actually used that word and not been censored. Yeah, America. Think of that word. So basically, without spelling it out, they actually admitted to being a stinking platform. I'm thinking to myself, oh, golly gee, we've got some idiots on our hands. It's like, you really want me to turn British, don't you? Don't you? It's like, what the bloody crud do you mean by brand safety, too? I mean, I'm sorry, I'm kind of steamrolling through maybe a little bit, but I don't want to be on that subject anymore, and I just want to get my last thought. What do you mean by brand safe? Brand safe for what? Coca-Cola? I mean, is it all politically driven? Is this whole really hyper sensitivity and maybe even hyper, like this just hyper like overdoing stuff, all because of like the politics, or you just don't want to offend anybody, you want to be as welcoming to everyone? It's just, people, you're not going to go through life without being offended. Everyone's going to be offended at what you say or what you do. You have one of two choices to do. You can either A, feel offended and have a bad mood, or B, grow thicker skin and let it fall off you like water on a duck's back and move on. I mean, it's easier said than done, but it's like a muscle. Practice and you practice and you practice, and it just gets stronger and stronger. So everyone, I hope you'll have a great day. I'm recording the last bit, so have a great day. May God be with you all. I love you all. Goodbye.